Hi guys, my name is Katie and I am here to present my research on teen pregnancy and the preventions and supports that are in place to help with that. Teen pregnancy has been a huge problem in the United States for many, many years. It has lasting effects for both the mother and the child that is born from the teenage mother. It can have lasting mental and physical effects. The mothers can have poor educational outcomes. They definitely have less than desirable economic outcomes and issues that arise from them. Basically, with teen pregnancy, 1 in every 9 teenagers who engages in sexual activity ends up pregnant. That's a very large number, although the numbers have declined a lot in recent years. The credit goes for the numbers being declined to teen pregnancy prevention programs. These are programs that are put in place to help teach children and teenagers different ways and different things that they can do to prevent themselves from getting pregnant. There are 4 different factors that influence teen pregnancy. The first one would be income. Typically, children who come from lower income families, who live in lower income neighborhoods and things like that, tend to get pregnant more often. The second is education. Those teenagers who have less education, who have dropped out of school or choose not to go to school, tend to get pregnant more than those that continue school. The third one is social supports. If you have a lot of social supports, you tend to not get pregnant as a teenager. And finally, the fourth one is their living environment. As a teenager, if they live in a more of a ghetto or a less than desirable neighborhood, they're more likely to get pregnant than that of a child who lives in a very upper class neighborhood. So as I said before, the thing that helps the most to prevent teenage pregnancy is teenage prevention programs. These programs are all federally funded. They are what works. They talk to teenagers about what is working, what they can do to help themselves, what they can do to prevent themselves from getting pregnant. They engage those teenagers, get them involved, see what they think, what they like, what they want, what they need. And that's really what helps, because knowing what teenagers feel and think is what's going to help prevent this issue. Although these teen pregnancy prevention programs are working, is it really enough to help prevent it completely? Research suggests that prevention itself is not enough. You can give birth control access to teenagers, you can teach them about abstinence and teach them why abstinence is important, but you're still going to have those lower income teenagers that are having issues. Some research suggests that if you close that income gap and make it smaller, that's actually what's going to help teenage pregnancy and this health crisis that the United States has seen. So the only way to do that is to put different policies into place. So once a teenager becomes pregnant, they go through their teen pregnancy. And then what happens next? Teen motherhood, right? Pregnancy turns into motherhood, and that brings a whole new set of issues and problems come in. Again, we have income issues, we have the issues of school, we have medical issues. Those medical issues can be both physical and mental issues. When it comes to teen motherhood issues, one of the most important things is biological issues. There's research that talks about what age is too young to get pregnant. We all know that once a young lady starts her menstruation, she's physically able to have a child, but is that still a time that she should have a child? Is it a time that is okay for her to have a child? Research suggests that although she's biologically ready, she's still not fully grown. They're only 95% at growth once they start their period. Young ladies are. Their hormones and their bone growth are still changing. So research shows that when a young teenage mother gives birth, all of these things are affected. Mental and physical issues happen when you become a teenage mother as well. these issues are long-lasting effects. It's not something that just happens when they're a teenager. Research suggests that mental and physical health issues arise much later in their life. It suggests that it's because they have the lack of ability to pay for insurance or medical conditions, or to help themselves because all of their money is going towards raising their child. So research suggests that that's another issue that comes up. Another big issue with teen motherhood is finishing school. A lot of times, teen mothers have a hard time finishing school because they just don't have the time. The cost of raising a child is much more than what a part-time job can handle. So typically, they end up having little to no time for schoolwork. This lack of education leaves less opportunity for these teen mothers to get a good paying job and to provide for their child. Although teen mothers might finish high school, it is less likely that they will go to college. Again, that is due to no time. There's many different factors that go into the reasons for that. Time and responsibility are two huge issues that they see as their new role as a mother. It takes a lot of work being a new mom. It's not an easy task. As a new mom, even as a grown woman, I was always tired. I cannot imagine having my body still growing and having another child that I was responsible for. When you become a mom, you have more responsibilities. You have somebody else you have to feed, you have somebody else you have to bathe, you have somebody else you have to take care of all the time. Again, this leaves to little to no time to focus on your schoolwork. And all of this can be very stressful. Although teen motherhood can be stressful, some teen mothers see a positive change in themselves when they become a teen mother. They see this because they want to succeed. They want to become a better person. They want to stay out of trouble. They want to try and stay in school. They want to try and finish school. And they have good family support that helps that happen. Although this happens for some people, it is important to remember that everyone is different when it comes to teen motherhood. Your family really does dictate a lot when it comes to teen parenting. Some teenagers have great support, some do not. All of these factors that I just talked about are part of teen pregnancy, but are they part of the teen pregnancy themselves, or are they because of where they live? That is something that's researched and needs continued research, because lower education and poverty seems to be a common thread in being pregnant and having a child. With that said, the next step is to find out what supports we can give the teenage mothers. They need supports just like teen pregnant mothers do. It's almost more important to have supports once you become a parent than when you're pregnant, because those programs will help you to know what you need. There are programs that are geared towards helping mothers, but most of them are geared towards teen mothers that have already dropped out of school. And while this is great, it's beneficial both to parents and the children, it might be a little too late to help those mothers because they've already dropped out. Sorry guys, I'm fighting a cold, so I'm coughing a lot. Something that would be beneficial is to provide these programs to these teen mothers before they drop out. So starting when they're pregnant and they're still going to school. These programs can help with childcare. It can help with parenting classes, teaching them what they do right and what they do wrong. Parenting doesn't come with a handbook, and sometimes having that education there is very beneficial to people. When these programs are in place, it'll help with graduation rate of teen mothers. It gives the parent-child a better relationship, mostly because the parents are less stressed about how they're going to go to school, how they're going to finish their work, how they're going to be a good parent, so they have time to spend with their child, and they lessen the chance of continuous teen pregnancies. These lack of supports can be super stressful. Stress comes from many areas when you're a teenage mother. You can be a single mom, you have little to no sleep, your social life has completely changed. You could have no support system at all. Your parents may not be there, you may not have friends that help you out. There's a number of different things that can cause these issues with stress. The good things, the things we need to try and instill in teenagers, are a strong support system. There are many, many forms of support for teenagers that are parents. The biggest is a strong social support network. So this can be concrete support, emotional support, and support when they're just asking for advice from people. I know when I became a mother, I was asking for advice, and I wasn't a teenager. I can't imagine being a teenager and raising a child and not having somebody to go to and ask for help. So the areas of support that we can look for our teenage mothers. Family and friends, these are the two biggest areas. If family and friends are there, it's great. They feel that they can truly have somebody to confide in and help them. You can talk to coworkers or fellow students if you're not going to work. And then there's those formal supports. This is where human services comes in. That's why this is such an important topic, because formal supports are what we as a society can do for these young teenage mothers. There are themes that are common when you interview a group of teenagers in finding out about the supports. So the biggest issues that teenagers seem to have is support versus independence. They want that support and help financially raising their child, but they want to have the independence that they're an adult, they make this adult decision, they need to live through it and work on it and be independent. When it comes to support, a lot of teenage parents and mothers specifically feel that they don't have any social interactions anymore once they become a parent. They don't get to go hang out with their friends. They don't get to go out to the movies. They don't get to just leave the house because they want to anymore, because now they have a child. Their child is something that they talk a lot about too when you're when you're interviewing them, because that in itself is enough for them to want to succeed sometimes. And finally, family. When you talk to teenagers, their family is something that are parents. Their family is something that they talk a lot about, and they're really grateful to have. And then there's that formal support system. The problem with the formal support is that there's really a lack of formal supports. Most teenagers who have gone through the formal support system feel that support is not there when they need it. They feel like they still continuously have to find information out on their own, and then they feel that there's lack of encouragement. Their caseworkers and the people that are there to support them and help them in this formal environment don't actually do what they're intended to do. So with teenage pregnancy and prevention and supports, when I was doing my research, I was lucky enough to be able to interview a teen mom myself. And the teen mom I interviewed was my niece. Her name is Juliana Crawford. And I asked her what her personal views on it were versus from when she was pregnant to when she became a mom. And she said that she has a very good, positive family support system. She did feel when she was pregnant that there were people who talked about her and referred to her as the pregnant girl, and that it was hard, but that she made it through it. And she said that when she became a teenage mom, when her baby was born, she felt that those societal judgments were gone because they saw that she was being a parent and she wasn't slacking off on that. Most of the people who supported her while she was pregnant continued to support her afterwards. And she even had some people who weren't so happy about her pregnancy kind of come around for her and help her out. Juliana had her baby 6 months ago. She's a beautiful little girl. and she finished off her junior year of school strong, and she is starting her senior year and hopes to graduate with her class at the end of the year. So, in conclusion, I'd like to remind you that the number of teenagers having babies is declining. With that said, there is still, in 2013, 273,105 babies being born to a teenage mother every year. And while those teenagers do have supports in place, it is important to understand that this is truly a health crisis for our young teenagers. What supports are in place? Are those supports enough? Are we as a society doing enough to help them? Are we doing enough to help prevent them from getting pregnant? Are we teaching them enough? Are we going the extra mile to make sure that these issues do not arise anymore? It is my opinion that we are not, and that we need to keep up the work and keep up the research and keep trying to help these parents. Although some parents have teen parents have a very good relationship with their families, not all of them do, and not all of them are able to come out on top. So while preventing them from getting pregnant would be the best, in the end, once they have a child, we need to be there to help them so that they become functioning members of society. Thank you.